What happens to a nation when part of its population starts to give up? Well, obviously it suffers in more ways than one and it becomes vulnerable to outside attacks and things like that. But let's talk about a group of people in general because apparently, well, not apparently, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. I've seen it. I'm pretty sure you people have slowly, noticed that men are slowly giving up and nobody cares. And that's the title of the video we're getting ready to react to right now. Men are slowly giving up and nobody cares, by a YouTube channel, Moon. Now, what happens if men give up? Like, a lot of the things that are built and maintained in society are done so by men. Like, there are a lot of difficult, hard working, or disgusting, dirty jobs that women don't want to do. So if men are giving up and those jobs start to, you know, need more people to hire or to do those jobs, but since men are giving up, nobody does that job. Those hard, difficult, disgusting jobs. What's going to happen to society? But let's check out the video and see what's good, see what's great, see what's going on. No hate. And as always, link to the video and link to the channel Moon will both be in the description below. Let's get it.
Increasingly, more and more men are giving up. Giving up on relationships, careers, and... Increasingly, more and more men are giving up. Giving up on relationships, careers, and society as a whole. Resentment is growing, unemployment is becoming rampant, and keeping your head above water seems almost impossible for many men today. This is leading to more men than ever dropping out of society entirely. And it's not just that, men are becoming infantilized. With terms like adulting now becoming normal, it's clear that something ugly is happening that needs to be addressed. We live in such a strained, unnatural environment that is bound to start to wear on society, but men in particular are battling to keep up and are slowly giving up. Giving up on dreams, giving up on trying, and giving up on doing anything constructive. And for a large part, it's really not their fault, as this trend isn't just a personal struggle, but a societal issue that we must urgently address.
I mean, it doesn't help that when it comes to the things like dating, or like if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of videos where street interviewers are walking around asking women, "Do we need men?" And they'll be like, "No." So if men are hearing this enough, of course it's going to affect their mental in some way, shape, or form. And then it's also that same sentiment is also being reflected in media, where like men are usually just the clowns, or they're the useless character, or they're the very emotional and unstable character, or they're not masculine, and when men are seeing this in the media, they're hearing it from women, and they're losing motivation to exist. Personally, my motivation is to get my money up and go somewhere where I'm wanted and loved, because right now in America, it's starting to feel like men are unwanted in general, and that we aren't loved here. So I'm gonna go somewhere where I will be wanted and loved. And I would like other men to, do the same thing if they would like to, because nobody wants to be in an area where they're not, where they're not wanted and loved. Nobody wants to be in an area where people are saying we don't need you. Nobody wants to be in an area where the media is portraying people like you are only, well, useless. But anyway.
So why is this happening? And why has it gotten so bad in 2024? On the surface, it's a long and complicated story. Life has never been simple for any human, and objectively speaking, for men in the West today, it's never been better. We have all the technology we need, food delivered to your door with the tap of a finger, dating readily available to anyone with a simple swipe.
Yo, for real, the food delivered to your door at the tap of a finger, maybe it's just me and my trust issues, but like, I don't trust that shit. Like, if I order DoorDash or Uber Eats or something like that, I'm always gonna be thinking in the back of my mind that, hey, someone's fucking with my food because I didn't tip them on the app, or I plan on tipping them when they get here, or I didn't tip them enough to what they think is enough. And it's like, I might as well just go and get my food myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that.
Any products, items, or experiences that you want can be had with the tap of your phone. But over time, all of these comforts of life destroys the importance and necessity of struggle, without any value placed on higher goals. Where there just is no reason to care, means there's no reason for people to properly live or have the will to achieve greatness. Which is probably why 40% of live.
What was that? Some of that? I'm want to blank, but I'm not, blank. Art true off my chest. I don't want to die. I just don't want to exist. They're so unattractive. They want to blank them. Man, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is what I mean. When when a society is busy telling men or a group of people that they don't need it, that they're not needed and they're not wanted, and women would rather choose the bear than choose you to be stuck in the woods with. Like, of course, it's gonna fuck with us psychologically, and people. If people complain about it or say anything about it, well, society is gonna be like, "You're a man up, deal with it." So personally, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here eventually. You know what I'm saying? I heard the Philippines is pretty cool. Japan is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? I am learning Japanese, working on my Japanese. So, you know what I'm saying?
Will have the will to achieve greatness, which is probably why 40% of young men aged 18 to 45 meet the criteria for depression, and 49% of 18 to 23-year-olds have had a thought of passing themselves in the past 2 weeks alone. And we're seeing the symptoms of this problem everywhere. The sapping away of our vision and ambition permeates in all aspects of modern society today. Our culture, architecture, relationships, bodies and minds. Past civilizations before us have always placed their emphasis on beauty, wisdom and logic for all the population to see, with great town squares, bustling with art, life and community. These things were placed above all else as the bedrock of their societies, laying out a code of honor and struggle in its people to achieve greatness. Comforts were shown in art and culture, but as an aspiration for achieving something great, for following your mastery. But today our cities are mostly devoid of all of this character, and instead they're marked out by the most cost-efficient, bland and sterile designs to facilitate a simpler, self-motivated purpose. It's why people flock all over the world to a handful of remaining cities that retain their centuries-old charm to feel and experience the character of bygone societies that were motivated by higher ideals. Ideals greater than our modern two-dimensional ways of thinking. With a prioritization of comfort, lust and opulence and flashy materialism over individual excellence and greater community, we're now reeling in the aftermath, becoming instead a generation of mandated mediocrity. And does this explain why men today seem to struggle more than ever while seemingly having more than ever? America in particular is not actually in a recession. In fact, on paper, the economy looks like the best it's been in a while. Unemployment has dropped, GDP is up, but what the people are actually experiencing is a completely different story. We can see this in a study by the University of Michigan on consumer sentiments, which gathers data based on how consumers feel about the current state of finances. In 2022, it dropped to an all-time low.
Damn.
Prices of our average daily needs like gas and food have increased in unbearable percentages. In contrast, salary increases do not match, putting a high strain on budgets.
Why salary increases still do not align with inflation? That is low key very annoying. I think it's done intentionally. You know what I'm saying? The whole keep the rich stay rich and the poor, get poorer or stay poor. I think salary increases aren't supposed to ever align with inflation, because then you're not really like struggling in a way, and I think certain powers want people to stay struggling, and you have to incorporate it, or you have to add more income to your household somehow, some way. And I don't know, man. I think it's suspicious that salary increases don't ever align with inflation. And it's odd. I mean, because let's say if they did, then it would be as if there was never any difference, you know? You wouldn't feel yeah, you would get more money, but you wouldn't feel the impact of inflation. And I don't know. That's sus. Like we should be able to be prosperous as a community of people. So why aren't we able to do that?
Inflation is showing no signs of slowing down as Americans pay over $1,000 a month more on the same essentials we were buying 3 years ago. Nothing's changed but price. The latest consumer price index for March showing basic necessities like our food.
All items 3.5% up. Food is 2.2% up. Food away from home is 4.2% up. Electricity 5%. Housing is 5.7%. Car insurance is 22.2%. And this is like where those memes come in, where it's like the grandparent or the parent is talking to their kid, and it's like, when I was your age, I had a house and this and that and this, and the kid is like, well, yeah, when you were my age, you know, people, the inflation or money cost of living wasn't as harsh as it is now, so no wonder. But imagine if we could go back to those days where things just didn't cost as much and we got paid, and a single income could support an entire house of four and they could be living in a nice house on a single income. Imagine going back to those days, bro.
Housing and gas are all continuing to cripple Americans' wallets with higher prices.
Our wages are actually down against inflation since Biden took office. So not only are prices soaring, but our wages, at least if you measure hourly wages, are not keeping up at all.
Keeping your head above water has become the new normal instead of owning a home with a white picket fence. The rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer, with the middle
Called it. See, that's what I was talking about.
class disintegrating completely. All the knowledge of the past of just going to college, getting a job, and buying a home immediately is just completely irrelevant for anyone working and living in 2024. The universities have skyrocketed in prices to absurd levels. The housing market is in a complete giant bubble. Everyone's sending out job applications more and more, all while using these automated testing systems, applying up to 100 jobs a day and still not getting anywhere. All the while major companies repeatedly tell us that they can't find any workers for their companies. And the results of this are clear. People are drifting towards more unfulfilling jobs, or just not even having a job at all, while the rich buy up resources, real estate, and everything that used to be the cornerstones of the middle class, that is now just an investment hidden through an offshore bank account for some giant investment fund.
Basically what they want to do is create a nation of renters. BlackRock coming in and giving them more money than the house is worth.
How much more do they give them?
They can give them, 30% above.
Really?
Which is money.
And then they just lease those homes out.
And they lease them out. It's part of this idea that home ownership and automobile ownership and all of these things, these legacy systems that people want to get rid of. And they go, rent a house, use Uber, Lyft, whatever. You don't need to own. What does owning do for you? That's that famous article, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Right.
And because of this, all saving plans
And then it's also takes out the ability to own your own land. So and land is one of the most valuable things you can own. I forgot the word I was looking for, but land is one of the most valuable things you can own, because if you have land, the property value of that, the value of that land can go up. And if, let's just say you buy land itself, don't build anything on it, but you can later sell it for a lot more money. And if people who are rich enough that they go out and buy a lot of land and build their own little community, they can probably just chill, you know what I'm saying? And not have to worry about all the extra BS. Like, you can have people that know how to grow food and farm, and you can make a sustainable community with with a few people and you're buying your own land. But if you're unable to own anything, then you're always going to be under like the government's thumb in a way.
For regular people are halted because living paycheck to paycheck means there just isn't enough for a savings plan. And whilst there is still some hope to dig your way out, for most this does begin a damaged path. People end up working in a job that's not in their field, something that they hate to do every day, and eliminates the experience they need for the job in their field. And so even the experience they are getting is just completely useless for getting back on track. In effect, their now entry-level position is further deviating them from becoming lawyers, psychologists, or whichever career path they studied for. And if the middle class is experiencing this, then the lower earners are feeling this even more. The jobs they once had a chance of landing now go to the middle class, while they get hit a bump lower, which is putting millions of people in dire straits. They face working twice as hard for minimum wage, juggling between jobs, partaking in the gig economy with absolutely no security, all with an extreme pressure to keep up with daily expenses in a completely overpriced megacity. And the truth is, both middle and lower earners are now taking a huge hit to their egos. They feel disrespected through no fault of their own, as no man wants to feel like a failure. They don't want to feel like they're not providing or on their destiny. Imagine putting in the hours and effort to get a degree and then having to take a job that's not even within the field you studied for. Well, this is just regular life for most people nowadays. It's making men feel incredibly depressed and isolated. They watch all this stuff on social media, they see people flexing the Rolexes on their Instagram stories. Meanwhile, they're struggling to survive, living a life they absolutely hate. And when friends and family ask about it, they suffer the humiliation of explaining why they had to take what was available. Even though it isn't humiliating at all, and they're doing what they can to survive, it definitely takes a huge effect on their mental health. Especially as it wasn't that long ago, where it was actually normal to enter the workforce with a mentor who would show you the ropes and encourage you and push you to learn more. Starting at the bottom didn't seem so bad because there was an opportunity to grow and reap more rewards. But this
real quick, I wanted to say, because even when there was a period of time where I wanted to like start trying to become an electrician, learning a trade and shit like that. But I went to a school that would help me, that would supposed to teach me how to become an electrician and things like that. But the lady at the school said that it's probably best for me to start as an apprentice electrician somewhere, and because their school doesn't start you off in the beginning. They start you off with things that you should already know or would have learned as an apprentice electrician. But then some of the only jobs I could find as an apprentice electrician, they required you to have a degree in electrician already. And it's like, okay, well, how am I going to get the degree if the degree is saying go get experience, but the experience and the job is saying go get a degree first? And so it's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Imperative step is slowly slipping away. Companies of prestige have forgotten the generation with no experience. And for many companies, this is what they want. This is actually the ideal scenario, where they have people so desperate, so in need of experience, that they can treat their workers like absolute trash. Since the 1980s, testosterone levels have dropped
and pay them less.
More than 50%, and yet we're told to ignore it. Why? Because there's a coordinated effort to suppress masculinity and turn men into something they were never meant to be. This decline is no accident. We're constantly exposed to harmful chemicals in our food and everyday products, bombarded with estrogenic chemicals from plastics, junk food, and sedentary lifestyles, which is why
this is a good reason of why everybody should learn how to cook for themselves instead of having to go out and buy food, or especially avoid fast food. But if you can learn to cook anything simple, even if it's just like baking salmon with a side of lettuce or rice or something, or veggies, like you've got to be able to at least do something cook something for yourself so that you can eat more healthier than you would if you were always eating out. But this shit is crazy, bro.
Why testosterone levels have been declining for decades, with a 17% drop among 60-year-olds in 2004 compared to 1987. Sperm count and strength in men are also decreasing exponentially, with a 32.5% decrease in mean sperm concentration in the last 50 years. But here's the good news, there are ways to fight back, and one of the most effective solutions that I found is our sponsor Black Forest's Testosterone with Tonkat Ali. This supplement is packed with two of the most powerful natural testosterone boosters available. Testosterone is a natural anabolic compound that helps increase muscle growth, boost recovery, and support higher testosterone levels. Tongkat Ali, used for centuries, helps raise testosterone, reduce stress, and improve overall vitality. I've been using Black Forests, testosterone, and Tongkat Ali, and I've noticed a huge improvement in my energy, strength, and focus. It's like getting back the edge that modern life was just draining away. Right now, Black Forest is offering a buy two, get one free deal on this limited edition product, and once it's gone for good.
Wait,
I
what?
can personally vouch for its effectiveness.
Why make it a limited type of thing? You know what I'm saying? Like that puts in FOMO, fear of missing out. But why make it a limited time type of thing if men are suffering from testosterone loss? Why not just make it a thing that you sell constantly? Like I don't like what? Why?
It's had a huge difference in my energy levels, strength, sleep, and overall well-being. And by supporting our sponsors, you also support us directly. So hurry and take advantage of this amazing 48-hour promo and support me alongside this amazing brand using the link in the description below. The cost of having a job also plays a part in stripping them of their dignity. Transport costs to their job, depending on the amount, could take a huge chunk of their salary, so that at the end of the day, they can only pay for rent or food and not both. A government grant could replace their salaries, and they earn more or less the same amount.
What's also helping to pay the bills is, as I said, the US government, in particular, our disability programs for people who are unable to work. Those programs seem to have morphed away from their original humane intention and now seem to provide an alternative income source to regular employment for several millions, for millions and millions of these guys.
If a job doesn't support your basic needs of a home, food, and transport, it wears thin in justifying the effort for this job, especially if you're not getting any experience. And in most cases, if you go into the gig economy, absolutely no security either. All for minimum wage. There's even a new term called quietly quitting, where you do the bare minimum of your job to the point that you're almost rendered useless and you get fired or simply quit.
That's not a new term. Like quietly quitting has been happening for a few years now. Like it's just people are feeling like this. It's not. Sometimes what their job is paying them isn't worth what they're doing, and so they feel like they're not getting enough from their work, and they're finding reasons to not want to work. And you know, let's be real. There's other ways to make money online these days, and you know, some men are just like, you know what? Let me go let me become a fake guru and get people to buy my course. And that course is going to be about how to be a man. And they know nothing about that. Or the course is going to be about how to become a multimillionaire in 30 days. And they know nothing about it. But they'll sell the course anyway, make some money because people are stupid sometimes. A lot of people are stupid. And it's yeah. Quiet quitting, and then there's like a no reason to return to some workplaces or to return to some types of jobs.
The fact that this term even exists shows that attention is desperately needed to solve this problem. And while this is happening, it's becoming more and more common for both partners in a household to be living the same life, or even with most males' partners actually being the breadwinner. And whilst this isn't necessarily a problem at all, it is leading to some weird modern problems in the household. Men with families are actually switching their roles with their wives, except they're not actually doing what their wives would do if they were to stay at home.
When you look at what I guess in Britain is called NEET, N-E-E-T, do you say that also in Australia?
That's Japan. That's Japanese. I think British got it from Japan. That's where I first heard it from. I didn't know it was, you know, a British thing as well. But NEET is like non-educated, employed, or trained. NEET.
Neither employed nor in education or training.
See?
When you look at that huge group of well over 6 million prime age men, the story they're telling about their lives is really pretty devastating. It's pretty distressing. They basically don't do civil society. There's almost no worship, almost no volunteering, almost no charitable work. They've got a lot of time on their hands, but they report doing strangely little help around the home or help with other people at home.
Because of the situation, some men may feel a sense of worthlessness and resentment. Some men might take an hour to clean up the house and fetch the kids, but the rest of the day they sleep or play games. In some cases, the wives work and then come home to finish the chores their husbands were meant to do but didn't. And whilst this might cause huge marriage problems, it still feels better off to the husbands. If asked what they do for a living, saying they're on a break or working on a project beats the humiliation of saying they work in McDonald's with a useless degree on their back. Men without families have nothing to lose, so they stop working because no woman would even want them anyway. They can't afford to date, they can't afford a family, and since their own families are supportive, it somehow justifies them giving up and staying at home, rather than facing these societal problems head on. With prices rising, getting hired becoming harder and harder by the day, and inequality becoming rampant within society, most men are just deciding to give up, because instead of facing the hardships of having a job, it just seems so much easier to escape, whether it be terminally being online, playing video games all day, or hiding behind doing chores at home to show they still have a purpose and are doing their best. The point being that for many men in 2024, if they're gonna be disrespected and feel worthless, they may as well choose the easy way out than a battle.
Also, like when with women becoming, the breadwinners in some homes, like a lot of that is leading to divorce and difficult times live in the marriage, and as well as with things like OnlyFans and women that are even though it's a smaller percentage of women that are actually successful in OnlyFans, it's if people those OnlyFans models are being like, well, if he doesn't make as much as me or more, then he's not in my then he's not going to be seen to me. I'm not going to be able to say, he's going to be invisible to me. But let's be real, like degrading yourself on OnlyFans is, if you want to say that that's a noble job, then do what you do. Most men aren't gonna want to be with you anyway. But there's other things that there's other ways that women are making more money making more money nowadays. And if the man is not the breadwinner, then that definitely causes a lot of problems in the home, even though you would think that it shouldn't, and women will be like, women will say that there's no reason for, any problems to occur because men are just becoming more insecure. That's not it. Like the women are the ones that are being mad at the men for not making more than her. And, things just escalate. And like I said before, it leads to problems in the household as well as problems in the relationship and problems in the divorce. And it's crazy.
Respect had a currency on how it would affect your life directly, you would see a different picture. A man with a job with high pressure, long hours, and doing something that makes him feel degraded would
also real quick. And I say it's crazy because like a lot of men would be willing to, be with a girl that works at McDonald's, but barely any women would want to be with a man that works at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of why it's crazy. But anyway.
Would be worth say $100, but staying at home playing games and escaping.
And by that I mean, let me make sure I actually get all this out. And by that I mean a lot of men are willing to build women up, whereas women are not looking to build a man up. They mostly want the man that's already at the finish line. They don't even want to build with a man, let alone build him up. They usually want a man that's already at the finish line. And if you're not there, and then they aren't really worried about you. That's most women, not all women, thankfully, but that still comes with reasons why there's problems with, women out earning their spouses, or, women looking for potential partners that aren't making enough money, making as much as the women want them to make. And it's crazy because men won't care about that shit. But women will be like, no, you have to make more, as much as me or more. And men are like, you don't have to make shit. You can just chill, and I'll make money. That's how it is right now.
all while being with the people he loves is probably worth $200 because of how it affects him. This explains why more and more men are deciding to drop out of society rather than face it head on, as it just seems to be the easier path. If it's a choice between two paths, one that offers little satisfaction while the other provides comfort, it's easy to see why men are going this route. But the thing is, this is a terrible mistake. And this is creating problems that we've never seen before. If there is no emphasis or any facilitation of the need to aspire to something greater and the game seems rigged to most who are playing it, it's hardly a surprise record numbers of men are dropping out and giving up on the game entirely. The problem is that there's a huge group of men, roughly about 7 million in America between the ages of 25 and 55, who are not working and are actively not looking for work. Now, COVID certainly had a hand in accelerating these figures. One question posed to these dropouts was how many of these men were on pain medication, and almost half of these men admitted to taking pain medication daily. And aside from those who desperately need it, these figures could indicate that men are aimlessly numbing themselves to their new reality. And this is great for society, as people don't have to deal with this huge problem. And what's even more shocking is that 40% of these men do have some kind of degree.
What sort of men are in this group? Demographically, education, family structure, ethnicity, who makes up this group?
Surprisingly large, representation of guys with college or even college degrees. 40% of this group has at least some college, and as I recall, about a fifth or a sixth are college grads.
The decision to be in this state is closely related to changing times. We've already discussed the effects of brain rot in another upload, which disabled problem solving in Generation Z and has already presented problems in finding jobs. They are quick to quit at the first difficult task and move on to find something else, but what happens when options run dry and they find themselves simply stuck in limbo? Giving up seems to be the next step, and accepting that is easy when they're discouraged by the situation. Working off of surveys, the data compiled indicates that these men are not only not working, but they're cutting themselves off from their communities, or there's no incentivization for them to even have any community in the first place. They're hiding.
So you mean like a shut-in? See, now I'm feeling personally attacked. I mean, I'm just introverted, okay? Like, it's part of being, it's part of who I am as an introvert. And you know what I'm saying? Like, now it's like, all right, well, all these other men are also going towards your way of life. And it's like, bro, like, stop. You guys aren't introverts. Stop it. This is my shit. I shouldn't be laughing, but I am.
Hiding out because going out would mean meeting new people who might oppose their lifestyles. It makes it uncomfortable. Why leave when you can just aimlessly watch brain rot content and numb yourself with weed or pain medication and stay inside, in the warm comfort of home? And any
Hey, by the way, at least I'm still doing things. I'm still trying to actively be part of society in my own little way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just lounging around playing games and smoking weed all day. I'm not just lounging around playing games all day and doing nothing productive. Okay? Leave my weed alone.
Any sexual needs you have can be satisfied with pixels on a screen. This lifestyle is increasingly becoming more and more normal for men in the West. But what's important to note is that men don't want to be this way. It's a horrible lifestyle, it's depressing, it's atomizing. What this really is just a coping mechanism or a form of self-defense against a society that's becoming increasingly hostile to these men. Up until recently, the problem has been invisible. These figures weren't shown in any statistics or surveys because they slipped through the cracks until very recently. So why did they slip through the cracks? Well, it's easy to see. They simply don't fit the victim criteria. Some have degrees, they're in the prime of their lives, and it was their choice to quit. It's easily overlooked and only comes to light as the numbers rise. Nicholas Upstart wrote a book called Men Without Work, and has since exposed and addressed the problems in his book. He says he is trained to look for hidden in plain sight problems, which is how he stumbled upon this issue. You see, these men are not causing trouble, at least for now, and they don't seem to be drawing any attention to themselves. On the contrary, they keep to themselves. So surveys and statistics just don't include them at all. They don't even register on the scale, and people in society think this is a joke issue. And it's also reasonable to conclude that some of these men may work, but in the underground economy. Work like formal cash jobs, or even shady illegal ways of making money. But of course, this is just a minor portion of these men. We need to address the problem head on. How is the situation getting this bad? These men have completely lost their purpose in life. All of their duty, their hopes, their responsibilities, their own dignity and value. It's being completely decimated at the moment. And we're seeing this with the form of radicalization online, growing hatred and division, and a general apathy towards society as a whole. And the longer this is ignored, the harder it's going to be addressed down the line. More men today than ever feel disconnected, disillusioned, and left behind by a world that seems increasingly indifferent to their struggles. While GDP numbers and employment stats may sound like an easy, good solution on paper, especially to government bureaucracies, it will never really fix the reality of the situation for normal people. The real challenge we face today in the West is to find purpose and meaning again, to have any reason to even want to participate and achieve greatness in society.
Oh wait, hold on.
We should focus on creating environments where people can thrive, where beauty, philosophy, and higher noble pursuits are actively encouraged by the cities and countries that we inhabit, which would give millions of men a reason to care again.
Boom. Let me reread that for you just in case, because that's a good point. We should focus on creating environments where people can thrive, where beauty, philosophy, and higher noble pursuits are actively encouraged. That last part right there is important. Actively encouraged by the cities and countries that we inhabit. Actively encouraged, which would give millions of men a reason to care again. But like I said in the beginning of this video, there are that act of encouragement is missing. There's too many. We're hearing it in the city, and we're hitting the streets. Men aren't needed. Rather choose the bear over the man. We're also seeing it in a lot of media, where it's like the man is literally just a bumbling buffoon, or he's in some way, shape, or form useless, or just really dumb. And that's not active encouragement to help men want to do better. So yeah, personally, I'm gonna say it again, personally, my own encouragement comes from wanting to leave the country. Yeah, I'm trying to go out to the Philippines or Japan. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get my money up, make it so I can make money remotely, and just move out to like the Philippines or Japan, somewhere where I will be wanted, where I will be, actively encouraged by the city and the country that I inhabit to continue to do better. But right now in the West, in the States, it's not really there. There's like a little bit left, but let me play it anyway. All right, yeah, that was it. Just wanted to see if he was gonna say anything else. But yeah, right now in the States, there's no active encouragement for men to do better. And so it's no wonder that, men are giving up and nobody cares. But this was a good video by Moon. I like that. I liked it. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. And what do you think? What do you think would help motivate men to do better, to continue forward? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, be sure to check out Moon. Link to his video and link to his channel will both be in the description below. So go visit Moon's channel, and while you're there, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do. And like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. And you know what it is after that, in case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace, and much love to you.